Coming at you live from my home studio in beautiful La Puente, California. This is the All Dodgers podcast. We're going to hit a couple man-mans. Let's hit some gongs, some bells. Why not? We're having a good time. What is going on, Clint Nation? It's a special day. Sorry, we're a little late. I'm a little late on the start here. But on today's show, we're talking about the trade. There was just a report that dropped minutes before we go live. The Dodgers acquire another bargain bin middle infield option. So we'll talk about that. Also joining me to talk about it, surprise guest, Scott Geirman. So we'll get to Scott in just a second. But Monday Overreactions will happen just a little bit later on in the show, plus some thoughts about the trade deadline coming up. You know, it is the month. 'Tis the season. So whole bunch of fun stuff. Guys, hit that subscribe button if you would not mind. We're trying to get to 7,000 subscribers before I die. That's the hope. That's the goal. We're getting there. We're getting pretty damn close. Review the show. If you listen to the show on Apple, if you listen on Spotify, that's about it, I think. I don't know. Let me know where you guys are representing your Dodgers fandom tonight. I'm going to push the right button. There's the subscribe button to pop up there. And before we get into the fun, I got to tell you, Bet Online is your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season, from baseball, golf, soccer, right on up to the tops fights in UFC. UFC, sorry. I want to get to the talking. You guys know this, but UFC, MMA, and boxing, every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. So head on over after games. There is an online casino there. They got online blackjack. They got poker. You can unwind with one of over 150 slot games. Head to the website today. Get in on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV, for your 50% free credit on your first deposit up to $250. That is Bet Online. The game starts here, and now the Dodger Talk starts with Scott. What's going on, Scott? How you doing, man? Appreciate
well,
you,
buddy. How are you?
hanging out and listening to me, talk for 2 minutes without talking to you. But hell of a day for us to be live here. Appreciate you dropping to the DMs, being like, "Hey, man, let's talk some Dodger baseball." But news happened. This is where we're at when it comes to Dodgers news. We get excited about an Alan Trejo pickup. Yeah. Tell the people what has happened.
I mean, Dodgers reportedly make a subtle move with Alan Trejo, and it's just a move on just one of those standard Andrew Friedman moves, minor league. Let's be honest, some moves he might not even know about, might not have as much say in. The organization and the farm system and their player development guys might just see a little something they like in Alan Trejo. So for all we know is that they just might want some minor league depth there. Mm-hmm. He's been with a few teams here. So it's good to get a guy that has major league experience. His glove has been above average when he's with in the big leagues. So it's just move on the peripherals, see if you can squeeze a little juice out of that orange and go from there. So we just what we both said on Twitter a little bit ago is that it's not guaranteed that there's something like a precursor to this, but for me, seeing that, it's that they might want to supplement something else before somebody else gets brought up.
Yeah, a little bit of AAA depth. So the background on it, and I got the actually, let me go back to this screen real quick, and I got the screenshot courtesy of Dodgers Daily. I'm presuming our friend Casey Porter of Dodgers Daily here on YouTube. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Casey does some great work, guys. But the Dodgers again pick up infielder Alan Trejo off waivers. He was just DFA'd by the Rockies over the weekend. Not having a pretty season statistically for sure. 143 with a 325 OPS, career 228 hitter. But as Scott mentioned, he does have a good glove. I don't think anybody has been thrilled with the Gavin Biggio experience on both sides of the ball. You were really hoping he could at least be an elite defender, but it has not worked out, at least so far, at third base. So, you get that kind of you speculate. You let your mind run a little wild, especially on an off day like today. You mentioned this could be backfilling a little bit of AAA depth. Maybe the team is ready to kind of make some crazy moves here as we get into July. Maybe it's Andre Lipsia's time finally for the Dodgers with a side helping of Gavin Biggio DFA. Do you think that's something that could happen?
I mean, absolutely. This Gavin Biggio doesn't look, good at all. A few weeks ago, I tweeted out, I couldn't believe we can get into this. And I've been on vacation. So this is the first, video action, talking with everybody I've had in a week. So I just got back yesterday and I've been kind of jonesing to kind of air out some stuff. And, for a team like the Dodgers to have a third base platoon, and I know somebody, quit back at me saying like, this is it with injuries out. This is kind of the options they have. But for what Kike Hernandez has been the past 2 years, and I know, Blake Williams called it out that he's been, one of the bottom 5 offensive players in the last 2 years, all Major League Baseball qualified hitters. It's just been remarkable that the platoon of Gavin, Biggio, Kike Hernandez is what the Dodgers are rolling out at third base.
It's a little rough.
And it's unbelievable stuff. So, this is a time where we understand the circumstances, that it's kind of the dog days. It's where they have a division lead. They can coast to it. They have the formula that they can kind of trot out a lot of, not whoever, but enough to win games. So we're going to see these guys get a long runway, but it's just difficult to understand why someone like Gavin Biggio is getting more runway than Miguel Vargas, why Kike Hernandez is getting this when he's consistently, hasn't produced. He's had some moments, but the only thing people hinge on when talking about him is his postseason performance, which is fine. But for the now, it's unbelievable that this is it. When you have players in AAA who are doing everything they can to crack the roster, and it's just unfortunate that Miguel Vargas was one who was able to crack the Major League roster, and he's getting no run. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's a frustrating thing. And when a move like this for Alan Trejo pops up, all I can think about is, man, I sure as shit hope that this is a move that somebody else can get a call, and we can see someone with some untapped upside that we just don't know yet. Something fresh, something new, where it's not like, we pray to God that, Kike is going to find some run and Chris Taylor is going to, keep doing what he's doing and stuff like that. I want something new. Clint. Yeah, that's what I want.
I think that is very fair, and I know one of your buddies over there at Dodger Blue, Mr. Jeff Spiegel, spoke with the mystery man, Andre Lipsius. Everybody's clamoring for this dude. We want to take this man on a date here in L.A., but they won't let it answer our calls or something. I don't know. I was going off on a weird tangent with it, but I'm going to bail on it pretty quickly. He's there. He's somebody that's earning opportunity, is Lipsius, but instead they went out and I understand the move, the Gavin Biggio move. This is somebody with some big league experience, big league success. He has a track record of not the prettiest, but he's done something. As for Lipsius, much smaller sample size, the glove less pretty. So I can see, hey, if we got this opportunity to pick this guy up for free while this guy can be, buried at AAA, we can play around with it for right now. And admittedly, and guys, we are going to get to you guys in the chat. I don't want to leave people hanging out there. But this is still a team at the moment with, a 7-game lead in the National League West. The Padres are starting to kind of figure some things out a little bit, but still, it's not going to be a massive challenge in the NL West. It's not going to be a massive challenge for this team to, end up winning the NL West again or guaranteed making a playoff spot. So you can take these liberties, maybe figure something out with the Biggio. Now we hear, Dave says, hey, we're going to go CT3, give him a little bit of runway. Yeah, I'm one of those guys, too. It took me a little bit longer to get on board with the Miguel Vargas kind of train just because, we saw what happened last year with one. Yeah. And I think that the front office, I think Dave, they're kind of, mainly the front office, I think they're still stuck on those struggles along with, the defense isn't pretty. He's kind of unplayable. But now, one of the good things is, let's, again, wildly speculate. Let's say there is more opportunity or there's going to be more Chris Taylor at third base. That means, should mean more left field opportunities for Miguel Vargas, and now you can backfill the big league bench with somebody like an Andre Lipsius to be that right-hander off the bench, at least until somebody else gets healthy. That's the way I'm reading it. That's the way I'm praying this works out. I've got every appendage crossed. I can't really get these without twisting them, that way, but that's what I'm hoping right now. I'm hoping we've reached the end of the Gavin Biggio experience just because, you get embarrassed in San Francisco the way they did, particularly in the Sunday game. I think we're in July now. It's time to make some changes and be okay with the bold move a little bit because you only got a little less than a month now to the trade deadline. Yeah, no, all really good points. That was good stuff. That was a good little rant. Yeah, absolutely, man. So, for what, I look at Miguel Vargas, and last year, when we talked about spring training, I was all hyped up for Miggy V. And then he has, back-to-back injuries to his hands. And that's something that I don't think anybody can say, he doesn't get a pass because that's
something incredibly tough to continue on your stretch, and standing up at the plate and telling him don't swing guaranteed messed with him. So after he got sent back down to AAA, he figured it out, and it kind of bought some, I bought some stock back into him. It was easy to get away from him, because it's like he's in AAA. We know a lot of those stats down there are fool's gold, and we really don't know. But yeah, I see everybody. Roy, I see all you guys. We'll get into pitching. We have to, we will. I know I said that the day had enough pitching, but we'll get to that. But with Miggy V, it's frustrating because somebody earlier on Twitter was talking about how, how much does Miggy V get? How much run? How much has he had the last 2 weeks? And since June 2nd, he's had just 25 plate appearances, 162 WRC plus. Yeah, so he's been performing. He's not striking out. He's doing, and that's something that we talked about on shows past, and everybody hammers in chat, is there's way too much whiff at the bottom of the lineup. There's not enough, Miggy Rowe mentality where you're going up there just trying to get bat on ball. So it's not that he's such an impactful player from a slug, and you're just like, you can project what he's doing. But for what he's doing when he's up at the plate right now, he is just on a tear in terms of his approach. He's getting good bat to ball. Good results are happening right now. He's getting these extra base hits. And I don't care what Dave says about his defense, that those are the reasons why he's not playing, because we're watching Andy Pages out in center field playing just super poor defense. So I don't know what we're doing. It's frustrating to me. And you have Teoscar out there. He doesn't play very good defense. So I want a bat. And I for the life of me, don't understand why Miguel Vargas is on the roster, aside from just raising the floor of the bench. And that's unbelievable to me.
Yeah, it still feels to me like maybe this team didn't really learn how to adapt with getting that 26th player on the active roster, still essentially playing with a 25-man roster, because back in the day, couple years ago, there would be no Kevin Biggio. I don't know if Kike Hernandez would honestly have survived as long as he have Gavin Lux surviving as long as he has. And surprising that we made it this far without talking about Lux in this whole equation. But anyways, all of that aside, I agree that it's baffling that they won't give one of their own homegrown kids, a guy who, he's put in the work. This is a team that preaches that you can earn your way here. You can hit your way into opportunities. You can, blah, blah, blah. You should be able to play, let your game prove it. And it's not always about what you've done for us in the past. But then you get to these guys, the Chris Taylor. And, we talked about this earlier. Alana and I talked about it earlier in Dodgers territory, where I gave her the credit. She didn't, bail out on Chris Taylor, but also she has a friendship with him. She covered him for a number of years. Looking at this as a, cold, dead inside pretend GM, he did not deserve to be on the roster for the first 3 months. And we're talking about the smallest of sample sizes, where he's hitting like 450 over his last, 9 games, but that's over the course of 2 weeks. So kind of, limiting him. They're not exposing him too much, and he's taking advantage of it. But that doesn't mean, hey, this is going to be the guy now that's your third baseman, or at least getting the lion's share at this point. Let him be a bench guy and let somebody else who's earning it, let Lipsius earn it, go out and make a trade. But I guess the root of what I'm going for here, Miguel Vargas, he's played third base. We understand it's not very good third base. Yeah. But the bat is saying, it's screaming, let me play, let me out. And it's unfortunate to see that they've buried one of their own. I don't like that. That's not something this team
tough, right?
does
it's
a lot. It's
frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's frustrating from an outside perspective. And to your point about Miggy V, is he hasn't played infield. Like when he got sent down, he made the transition to left field, and that's exclusively where he's played. And, that type of switch and just a hard cutoff that he is no longer an infielder, he is strictly a left fielder. That's all well and good, but you have to find spots for him. You have to find at-bats for him. And if they really are just getting these veteran guys time and they want to see what Kike can do and go from there, they're just in a gridlocked roster. We spoke with Jeff, Blake and Matt. We've all talked about it, that they're just on such a gridlocked roster right now with veteran players, guys that they can't send down. Like if they're sending down Pages, they're getting worse. They send down, who else? They're getting worse. Like there's nobody up there that they can just say, yeah, we're going to send you down. They've got a DFA Biggio. Like if they are going to get rid of Kike, they can't send him down. You have to either get rid of him or you hang on to him and live with what he's doing. It's just, this is a tough spot because I think a lot of people, I know Mike, Mike's in chat right now. Him and I have been dialed on it that we've spoke, Mike Carrillo, what a dog. Good to see you, buddy. But it's that this is a bench that I can't believe is the collection of guys that Andrew Friedman put together. And it's hard to navigate and project regression across the board and that this is where it's at. But to have it on such a grand scale, it's different. It's just, it's a very uncomfortable spot. It's a very odd thing for a Dodgers team to have because we're so used to seeing, Jason Hayward being out there and he's been fine. He's not incredible, but he's had moments and I trust him. I really do. I trust Jason Hayward when he's up there and he has to put it together, good at bat. The comeback game in Colorado really showed me a bunch of that. Yeah. And we just know it. He's a guy I really won't worry about. If you find the spots for him, and Dave has shown that when the time calls for it, he's going to put him in those spots. But we don't have the left-handed killer. We don't have it. There's no right-handed bat out there where it's like, he's on the bench for this reason. Yeah. He's on it for this reason. They don't have like these mercenary players that are not on the starting lineup. So it's just an uncomfortable position for me to be in. And it's just, we look at the roster and there's so many things other guys going on and we can't even rant about Gavin Lux anymore because we need him. We need him right now. They're going to play him.
There's a couple of angles I want to go to this. Michael Carrillo, you mentioned being in the chat. He had said earlier Vargas was okay at second base, and I'm one of those guys. I know the numbers did not like the metrics did not like Miguel Vargas at second base last year. The eye test, I was okay. I did not hate what I was seeing, especially as the season went along. He played his last game at second base, right around this time last year before they shipped him out to AAA just before the All-Star break. But he was making some big strides, some big improvements. The bat he was selling out for power. He was trying to pull the ball. That was not his game. I talked to, a number of people who have covered Vargas throughout his minor league career, including guys like Casey Porter, including guys like Tim Rogers of Dodgers 2080. They say the same thing. It's like, that's not his game. Gap to gap, line drives, stick with your game. You know what? But just so I don't forget it, because I have a super chat and I want to make sure I get to 300 GJW. We appreciate the $5 $4.99 super chat. This whole Vargas situation is screaming to me. It's giving Matt Beatty. It's giving Matt Beatty all over again. Agree or disagree?
Is Miggy V better? Can you give me that?
Yeah. I mean, they both have different profiles, Vargy has more power, definitely. I think he has a more pure bat, but Beatty, my guy, my boy, he had a better batter's eye, I feel. Good bat to ball skills, the ability to go all fields when he's actually getting playing time. I think they were there. I think his spirit got crushed by this team not believing in him, even slightly. Never playing him when there was clear and ample opportunities time after time for him to get in the lineup. His spirit got crushed, and then he got traded away. Well, I mean, the trade worked out great for the Dodgers, but then he gets traded away, gets DFA'd, and gets sent to the Padres of all teams, and his career has just been in a spiral since that point on. But I don't know, that's what it's giving Matt Beatty to me, the way they will not play Miguel Vargas. It's like, what did you do? Who did you walk in on in the broom closet at Dodger Stadium or something, bud? Because this is wild.
I see people. I don't know about the Beatty thing. I'd have to look into what it is, but if you see it with your eye, then I'm not going to doubt it.
Not numbers wise, just the way
just how they're handling.
There's production, but he never got in the lineup.
Okay.
Never got those opportunities. Not so much like the exact profile. It's just more so let him play. Let the boy play.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it just happens. The Dodgers are generally a team. I've said it to a couple of different like a couple of my friends, and even my mom's even hit me up about it. She goes, where we look around teams from around the league where they have opportunities for these several young players to get some run, and the Dodgers just haven't done that. They're not a team that does that. They will bring a veteran in to have that spot over starting, but it comes back to the same slippery slope that we talked about. And I kind of got a lot of heat for it, that Andrew Friedman just hasn't produced these bats, like young bats coming up to the league. He just hasn't done it. Will Smith's his only proven one.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear anybody talk about, Michael Bush. I don't want to hear anyone talk about players after they left the organization and produced. That's not it. That's not how it is. It's why aren't they, capable of making the jump from AAA to Major League Baseball and going from there? But we won't. That's a whole big deal we don't need to get into.
Yeah.
But it's just that, where do you find the at-bats for them? It should be Miguel Vargas right now. But aside, it's Gavin Biggio, it's Kike Hernandez, it's Chris Taylor. And on one side, you can say Chris Taylor. Yeah, I know. I watched a lot. I to her point about reading the back of the baseball card and trends and what players have done in the past. And I buy into that quite a bit. That's fine. Like I will not knock you if you say historically, yeah, this is just a big downward trend for him. It's like Chris Taylor was already starting to trend. He fell off a cliff and go from there. It's my same reason why I want to bring Randy Arozarena in. This is like an outlier season for him.
Yeah.
And
really
historically he's been terrific, and go from there. But the Dodgers, like you look at the Padres, they've got a couple young players they're playing. Jackson Merrill, he was a top prospect. Go from there. The Dodgers just don't have those bats within the organization,
No.
and when they do, it feels like they bring them up. They don't produce immediately. That's it. And Miguel Vargas right now screams to me, if you're not going to play him, trade bait. He's getting traded. They're hiding him. Like, he's had production. Like, you can screenshot what he's done right now, and he's not striking out. He's got great stuff. Like, just looking at it, you're saying, okay, this is a guy that could be attractive to other teams. He still has team control. He's a well put together kid. He can play a corner outfield position. He's had infield in the past. And if they're not going to play him, why give another team a reason to doubt him if this is a screenshot of the stats you have right now?
Yeah, no, I agree with that one. I also agree with the idea that, as good, as much, as many accolades as we give this Dodgers front office, they haven't produced. They can produce on pitching like nobody's business. They can go and find pitching. They can go and find other players that teams have given up on and turn them into
pitching. Fleece them.
Yeah. But when it comes to making the next Will Smith, even Cody Bellinger, he had a run, but Cody was one of those guys too. I forget what year was Cody drafted. Was that a 14? I forget the year, but anyway,
somebody will toss it in. Somebody's got faster fingers than we do on here.
Hold on, I should read. I gave the thanks for the super chat, but I didn't read it. But it's a good point from 300 GJW that 499 super chat saying, folks in the chat, keep in mind there are not many position players in the minors on the 40 man, so you have to DFA somebody if you're going to promote someone else. And I think that's what we've kind of dealt with, endured as so many people. Like the reality is, like, somebody like Andre Lipsius, probably not going to work out, but at this point it's like worth the try. But I agree, there's not like a whole lot of the farm system is thinner than it's been in a while. Of course, they're swinging moves, they're making trades, they're rebuilding their organization, and that's where we circle back to somebody like Alan Trejo. Yeah, he's not somebody another organization's going to want down the road, but he helps fill the minor league depths. He helps give them another quality glove, maybe some upside bat at AAA, and then you can make some other moves. But anyways, you see anything else in the chat? As we barely got into the chat. Apologize, guys. We're riffing here.
They've been fueling. They've been fueling the stuff. Like they're aligned just like we are.
Thank you. That's what I thought. Yeah. So Michael Carrillo with the answer, and I'm assuming you were about to get there. Bellinger, 2013 fourth round. So that predates the Andrew Friedman front office. He inherited,
Andrew Friedman inherited my buddy Brand. If he watches this, he's going to be all on it. He's been dialed in for this argument for a bit. He's been putting me on that for a while, that it's I don't know. Bats are, I understand his thing. And I know everybody will say it and everybody will agree that for a philosophy, a pitching philosophy, is easier to put on a player and have performance than hitting. Because hitting requires a whole bunch of stuff. There's a whole bunch of different mechanisms that go into it. It's process, it's approach, it's mechanics, and then all those factors go into it. Pitching-wise, you can have a philosophy, you can look at the data, you can look at how a pitcher can throw something and go from there and rework a mix, and then that's it. And that's been their model, and it's easier for them to acquire veteran bats, sign them long-term, set it and forget it, and then go from there. But now it's all adding up. All those players that Ned Colletti drafted are gone, and now it's all on Andrew Friedman to really bring that in. He brought in Mookie Betts, Ohtani, Freddie Freeman. Got bailed out by Freddie Freeman becoming a free agent. Yeah. So it's like, I'm not going to say that Andrew Friedman has failed in that aspect, but it's clear that he drafts the pitching. He acquires pitching. It's just, we haven't seen him go full front. He doesn't have to. He can acquire bats, and then if we do it, if he continues to do it, then that's fine. But it feels like they're at a spot where, he feels like he got caught with his pants down, that he doesn't have anybody, in the minor leagues that he can call up and just, have immense upside. So it's an uncomfortable thing. But I had one more thing to go on, and I wanted to bring it up to you because it's interesting that players like Hunter Feduccia, he's 27 in AAA. He's constantly produced. He's a left-handed bat. Like, what are they doing with some of these guys? You're waiting till they get to this point. Like James Outman, everybody's crying and whining and talking about James Outman. James Outman's an older prospect.
Yeah.
And it's not great for an older prospect to come up and then struggle and then get sent back down. And then you have to, now what? He's an older prospect. He struggled and he got exposed, and now he has to prove himself in AAA, and he's not producing again. So it's like, is that experiment failed? What value does he have? It's tough. So we're getting Andrew Friedman to a point where it takes so long for some of these prospects, and they just age out of being prospects, and they age out of this window for them to come into the major leagues when they're at a peak, ready to just, jump in. It's like he misses the window on some of these guys, and that's frustrating. So we share that.
Michael Busch was almost one of those guys.
It's a frustrating thing. I know you share it with me, buddy.
Yeah, particularly on this offensive side. We know, again, the organization is so great at either drafting or creating pitching. They need to do something to the position player side. Obviously, they don't draft at a very advantageous, position in the order every year, winning as many games as they do. But still, you find ways to find some pitching in there. And I mean, if this is the way it works, if for the rest of our lives or the rest of the Andrew Friedman tenure, it's them making a bunch of pitchers and trading them away for other position players, like you mentioned, the Mookie Betts thing, making some plays in free agency. It works because this is a team, we have, I don't want people to pop into the stream and think we're complaining, because we're not. This is more of just lively, like, what's going on here? What do I want to call it? Lively observations about the organization that they could use a little help in drafting and developing, or finding some international talent that can hit a ball and defend a ball, because they haven't made that guy, the guy that can do both. That player doesn't exist. It has not come up through the organization in quite some time. You mentioned a second ago the Hunter Feduccia. I want to give some love to Feduccia. Poor dude getting buried in this organization because of the love affair with Austin Barnes. I finally changed my tune. I think we talked early, the first edition of the monthly grades, and I wouldn't say I gave flowers, but I gave some respect and whatever. I let Austin Barnes live. I let him be okay, because, hey, you know what? He plays once a week, twice a week. But now we get to this point where Will Smith looks a little burnt out, looks a little exhausted, and that happens because Austin Barnes is so incredibly unplayable. And you see so many other organizations now kind of going to a 1A, 1B sort of catching tandem. Feduccia deserves that shot. He's been pretty dang good. He's been good enough to be a backup at the major league level for the last couple of years. But Barnesy, just like Kike, just like Chris Taylor,
it's just so frustrating.
They just
linger. Pulled up his splits. I pulled up Feduccia's splits, and it's just so frustrating. It just seems so easy. It's just, I know it's not, but he's on the 40 man, and it's just, why in the world can they not carry him? Like, you have Swiss Army knives on the major league roster. If Chris Taylor's truly turning it around, and by God, I hope he does. I hope he shuts me up, and then all me screenshotting his stats just without any context. Everybody's saying, why are you dunking on him? I'm simply putting out his stats. I just want everybody to see him, what they are. And if he owns me, cool. I hope so. Like, he gave me some of the best moments. And he's a Swiss Army knife. And once Muncy's back, which by all accounts, at some point he will be. And when that happens, Chris Taylor can shuffle around. Miguel Rojas will be the shortstop. Mookie Betts will be the second baseman. Why in the world can Hunter Feduccia not come up and be a guy who can platoon, if not even platoon, be a bat off the bench against righties, to which he's been awesome this year in the minors? I know those numbers can't always project, but it's something. It's something for me to go off of, that it's a bat with upside, that when Austin Barnes is in, you're not saying like, we're okay just having a pitcher hitting today.
Yeah.
You know, and you can play him. You can play him some days and go from there, but they have so much value. Like, they believe Barnes brings so much to the pitching staff, and he does. He calls a hell of a game. He's been there for years, but it's just, he's getting to the point. Hunter Feduccia, teams know, what are you going to get from him? Like, he's 27. Like, he's not a young guy anymore. Yeah. It just sucks because they have these players and we're like, bring them up, but we look at their age and it's like, he's not starting. You know, they have so many catchers, you might as well just get rid of some. I'm not saying sell low, but the teams know the Dodgers will have like a handful of catchers that could play on other teams, and it's like, do they use that against them?
Yeah,
but Feduccia should definitely get some run.
Yeah, we know I would bet strongly that Cartaya gets traded this offseason or this winter. I mean, this month. There's a strong likelihood he gets traded this month because he's the most useless prospect the team has in terms of them being able to play him. Like, he's not an exceptional defender. He's gotten better. You know, he's a bat that needs to play every day. He can't do it with Will Smith here in LA for the next 10 years. Trade him away, use him as part of a trade package. And I mean, that's another whole can of worms there. And I'm sure we'll talk about that a couple of times over the course of the next month. But there's been too many of those guys that have kind of aged out. I mean, the fact that they're playing Pages, because Pages is one of those guys in the end of spring training, well, even the middle of spring training, really, because it was a short spring. When they sent him out, I was pissed that they sent him so early. Not that it means that much. He's still going to get...
He can still play.
Yeah, he's still going to play, but still, he's out of the big league locker room. But the fact that he's, 22, 23, and playing every day, learning on the job, I appreciate that they're doing that. He played, he hit, he earned it, but also he only earned it because, the league either caught up to Outman or Outman's, feelings or whatever, head
he's a
got
glove guy.
discombobulated.
Outman was a glove guy,
Yeah.
like he was a glove guy, like handing that to him. And it's just that was a Linsanity run that James Outman went on. And then now it just caught up to him. And this is where they're at. That's why so many people are banging on the door for, an outfielder, somebody. And can you answer me real quick? Do you, aside from Andy Paz's gaffes on the bases and defensively, are you okay with him being out there, or do you think they need to supplement, like go with after center fielder or as like a corner guy? I know they're easier to acquire, but where are you at on Andy Paz, real quick?
So, I was pro Paz in center field. Then he tried at Oracle Park, and that one got me a little scared. I think he made like one good play in center field in the opening game. They won that game, but he looked a little overmatched. Daytime at Oracle Park, wind swirling, looked a little overmatched in my opinion. So hopefully they're able to kind of spin that positive, keep him learning. I think, again, we're going to see the slides become a factor. Dave pinch running for him late in the game on Saturday because of reasons. We think that whoever got in, I forgot who it was, but we think he can steal a base better. No, it's because Pages still slides with his foot up and then tries to put it down, and he just presents, an appendage for the opposing, for the defense to tag easily. So there's some parts where Andy needs to learn for sure. He can keep getting better, but overall, I think the team has been better offensively in the outfield with him in there day in, day out. Yeah, this is not your most defensive. It's not the most defensively quality outfield we've ever seen for this team. But if teams can win a World Series with Manny Ramirez in left field, I think the Dodgers can figure out how to win with Pages, who's still young. He's got a decent arm for the most part. He kind of tracks some balls well. I just think Oracle Park in that scenario was not made for him. Do you differ in my opinion or from my opinion?
No. I'm with you. Like it was rough. I stayed up as late as I could on the East Coast to watch those games, but it was definitely ugly. Like he like the amount of times Matt Moreno, he texted, Andy, come on, like that type of stuff. It's just he's learning on the job. He's learning that, but it's a rough thing when you can't really rely on your center fielder to play. Center field is a tough position, but when there's constant mistakes with routes, with get into baseballs and stuff like that, and base running gaffes just can't happen. There's times where I appreciate the hell out of his aggressiveness, and I like that, especially with his offense. Like I think that him being aggressive in counts is a good place for him. because he's such a free swinger. If he feels he's going to get the best pitch early in the count, I'm all for it. That's okay. Like if Andy Paz signs up for one pitch at bats every single time, I think I'm okay with it because he's been confident with it, because we've seen it. He expands and he'll go up there. It was like early on in his debut, he was swinging at everything, even like remotely close within 6 feet of the batter's box. So, but to his defense, it's just like you said, it was a tough go, and that was just magnified. And there's a lot of things that have to click right. But somebody in chat, people talk about he's getting better. And I think it's a spot where I don't know if they're comfortable with it, but there's too many places to address. There's too many things. You need to get a couple bats, man.
Like personally, and guys, I will note, we'll plug me and this guy will be, this guy will be back together tomorrow here on the channel for our monthly grade series. So stay tuned for that. But I will say, I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow, but I still prefer an infielder, somebody that can play some third, somebody that can play some second base. And if and when Muncy comes back and he's healthy and he's strong and he's playing defense as well as he did, which was pretty dang decent to open this year, this whoever it is can move to second base until Mookie comes back, and then they can be another option off the bench. Who that person is, we don't know. But the center field options, if you're going for a spot in the outfield, if you're trying to improve in the outfield, it's absolutely in center field. And Luis Robert, we've talked a lot about Lou Bob. He's also a dude hitting 200. He's also playing on the worst team in baseball. He also has a pretty significant injury history, and it's going to cost a lot because everybody's going after him. I don't know how much of a reality that is. I'm seeing some people, including our friend in the chat here, Noah Ortega, who's part of the All Dodgers Discord server. Guys, you can join Discord if you sign up on Patreon or if you sign up here on YouTube members. He brought up Cody Bellinger, and I'm sorry, Noah, but I detest the idea of Cody Bellinger returning. And Cody, I don't know if you've noticed, Scott, Cody is not 2019 Cody Bellinger anymore on both sides of the ball.
No, you're right. And I've put it out. I put it on Twitter a few times. I got some friends that have some stock and bring Belly back type of thing, but they need to address it somehow. And it would be a contract that I would essentially think he'd be locked into for a few years, like the rest of it. That's the difficulty with players who have opt-out deals or opt-in deals, all those things. And I think that's, if they were to make that acquire that player, it would be they'd be signing on for the next 2 years, unless Bellinger wildly outproduces his contract and goes from there, which, it could be. We could see that, but I wouldn't hate the idea. It's just something that, but again, I could also ask you this, buddy, like if they're willing to go out and acquire Luis Robert, like why wouldn't they be willing to go out and sign trade for Cody Bellinger? If they're looking for an answer for center field for the next couple years, I think I've said early on, they need to find players. It's the same reason why I want Teoscar back. They need to find some longevity in the outfield. They need to find someone with some consistency, and to have to lock up a spot for the next few years so you can find somebody, in the farm system to bring up or groom for that position or somewhere, somehow. But they just don't have it. It's a different thing where they just have an outfield of a bunch of guys who don't have a concrete long-term future. If Pages is the guy that we think, and this is definite big-time exposure for him, so I think no matter what goes on this season, I think Pages bodes well for the future just because he has such immense upside with power, speed. Like, he's a quality player. He's showing stuff early on in his career that I like. But they need to find somebody else with some longevity, with arb years, with team control, or with a contract already set in place that they can attack another position and then go from there. So, Belly wise, it's a price, and do we want to reopen that door of Beltober?
No.
There's a lot of people that might, and it's just, but the Dodgers have such an affinity for bringing players for nostalgia bomb, and we know they do, and that's why the Kenley Jansen stuff always pops up every single year, and Yimi Garcia might be an option from the Blue Jays, and it's just what it is.
Yeah, and the Kike reunion that happened at this time last year. It's like,
the re-sign.
Let some of these guys. It's okay to let some of these guys walk. The only one I'm not okay with is Corey Seager, but at the same time, I completely understand why they let Corey Seager walk, because of the money, because of the long-term projection at shortstop probably wasn't going to be a reality. But no, I've said it so many times in the channel. Just because you mentioned Jansen, I'm gonna say it again. Please, for the love of God, no on Kenley Jansen. John Heyman needs to stop bringing that up. For all that is holy. Man, does he love talking about Kenley Jansen. Oh, he could be on the move. The Dodgers make a lot of sense. Like, he just has the same thing he says over and over. And it's like, John, please, just can you not? Can you not? I got to get to, there's another one here, 300 GJW. Again, a little while ago, I apologize for keeping you waiting. Before 99 Super Chats is another thing. Friedman drafts is a lot of college kids, so the prospect pool is always going to be older. Good point. International pool is non-existent. Well, they've gone harder in the paint on pitching also internationally, outside of guys like, Vargas, who's one of those guys they did sign internationally, but don't give him an opportunity. It's earning it.
They don't get it. There's no place for it. They don't have an opportunity at all. Either you're going to bring them in, they trade them. It's a lot of arms, what we've seen. But drafting wise, they bring a lot of guys in, like Kyle Hurt, Nick Frasso. Like, these are 25, 26-year-old guys, and they're still trying to crack a major league roster.
Yeah.
It's just
more to talk about.
There's a lot more to talk about there. Yeah. We'll get to it on another thing. Probably tomorrow.
Yeah,
we'll do it tomorrow.
We'll talk more tomorrow, guys. I'll let Scott exit at this point. I appreciate you. I was figuring we might talk for 20 minutes, but man, do we know how to talk Dodger baseball? Or maybe we don't. We just have a good time doing it either way. I know that guy knows how to talk Dodger baseball, so make sure you guys are giving him a follow. It's right there on the screen, at Scott Geirman on X. Post some great stuff on there. Write some great stuff over at DodgerBlue.com, and of course, often contributes on the Dodger Blue YouTube channel here, and hopefully you guys will be seeing more of them hanging around here, this neck of the woods, getting some great Dodger content out there. But appreciate you, buddy. Let's talk more tomorrow.
Absolutely.
About things and about Dodgers. That's what we love doing. But
yeah, man. Appreciate everybody.
Cheers.
We'll see you soon, okay?
All right, take it easy, bud. So, guys, it is Monday. I think I would be, it would be not smart of me to not get into Monday Overreactions. I appreciate you guys hanging out so far. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed us talking for 40 minutes about all this spiderweb coming off of an Alan Trejo rumor, because it's still not technically official, but I do believe Casey Porter when he tweets things like that. And again, I'm really hoping moves happen. We are trending towards some big flashy, not even flashy, just not the status quo with this team for this month of July. Do not be surprised if you see some bigger moves happen before tomorrow's game against the Arizona Diamondbacks in Los Angeles. Michael Carrillo saying, need these trades to start. We're getting there. We are getting closer. I don't know how active this team will be. We know they're going to be somewhat active. We know they're going to be in on everybody. I don't know that they are willing to go. They're not going to. They're going to do what the Dodgers always do. They will wait. They will get guys on their own accord. They're not going to spend all of their prospect money on one guy for 1 year. Or whatever it may be. And that's where you feel good about some of the names that have been out there. We've learned now Bo Bichette most likely not being traded. That could just be to, boost his trade value and saying, oh, if you guys want him, you're going to have to pay a little bit more for him. Even so, Bo Bichette maybe is an imperfect option for this team. I already said Luis Robert may be an imperfect option for this team. I don't know that there are any great options, perfect fits for this team, at least at this moment, but we'll talk more about it. And I have more to say about it. We'll talk more about it tomorrow and later this week on the channel. Like, I'm somebody that's less in on the idea that they need starting pitching, but that's just kind of my thought there. Anyways, I want to move on. I want to talk to Richard Flores here, who dropped the $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Rich. He says, when it comes to Biggio, seen better swings in the park. Defensively, he can't even catch a cold. And F the Giants. Quickly, let's talk about that Giants series, because it was a frustrating series. Alana Rizzo and I on Dodgers territory talked before the series about it maybe just not having a lot of juice for the Dodgers. Maybe the Dodgers will never admit it, but maybe the Giants wanted a little bit more. San Francisco, kind of played like crap out there, especially defensively in the outfield. Hey, like Scott and I were talking about, maybe some of that rubbed off on Andy Paez in center field. Still, through it all, you lose that series. The Dodgers still go 16-10 in June. You're not mad. You're not mad at coming out of that. You just don't want that to happen against the Giants. But, sour taste. Definitely a sour taste in your mouth, and that's where I wonder. That is where I kind of can see this team. And that's where when I see the Alan Trejo move, same as Scott, the gears start turning. Dodgers get a little bit embarrassed there in San Francisco, and all of a sudden they're like, look, we keep hearing about this Biggio thing. It's not working. Kike Hernandez not working. Dave says they're going to give some runway to Chris Taylor, but you need another guy. They need another guy, because if you're talking Biggio, Kike Hernandez, and Austin Barnes, that is 3 actively dead spots on the active roster right now. So inactively dead spots on the roster. I think one of those guys needs to change. Do not be shocked. Do not be shocked if it is finally Andre Lipsia's time in LA. But let's get into Monday overreactions. You know what? To give myself a bit of a breath, why don't we go to you guys first? So we got a few calls. Got some of the regulars here in on the All Dodgers friend of the show hotline, part of the Patreon friend of the show tier, $5 a month. You guys can call in and bitch about things. Also on YouTube, $4.99 a month. You can call in and bitch about things, and on YouTube you get little emojis. You can also join us and talk during the games. On Discord, we have a full conversation during games, reacting to big moments, getting annoyed about other things that happen in the game, and it's just a great community that we have growing right now. So if you want to get on, get in. I gotta ask that you pay, but you're also supporting the channel. You're helping support independent Dodgers coverage and keep the lights on. All that said, let's hear from the legend herself. Let's hear a little bit from Diane this week on Monday Overreactions.
Hi, Dodgers fan. Diane Schroeder here. Well, I hope the Giants enjoyed their best-of-3 win over the Dodgers in the weekend World Series. This weekend was a waste of an opportunity. We could have gained ground on the Phillies, who are within reach now, but no. Instead, they decide to mail in the game in which Paxton was bad from the very first pitch. This was such a frustrating weekend. The only good thing about this Giants series was being in the Discord, which you too can access through a channel membership or Patreon. We had a blast in there all 3 games, and for only $5 a month, you too can be having as much fun as we are in our little All Dodgers fam. Well, that's all for me. Go Dodgers. Bye.
I should have saved that one for last. That would have been a nice bookend to me pitching Patreon, but appreciate Diane hanging out there. I agree. They could have gained ground on the Phillies. One of the things we did talk about in Discord today, Showtime LA brought up the fact that you almost want this Dodgers team to be a 2 seed in the National League, i.e., or other words, not be the best team in the National League, not have to run through a gauntlet of teams like Atlanta, who we know the Braves kind of built themselves into a team that can beat the Dodgers, or at least try to beat the Dodgers. They made some moves in the offseason to try to, down them Dodgers. Another team, San Diego, the Padres, they are streaking, they are striding. I didn't want to give the Padres a lot of love and respect last Friday on our last stream here on the channel, but the reality is the Padres are playing better, and they always play the Dodgers well. They play up to the Dodgers, and sometimes Dodgers don't know how to kind of get over that. So, I agree. We could have gained ground on the Phillies, but I'm kind of glad they didn't. I'm okay losing, sometimes you got to take a little bit of a sucker punch to learn something from it. Next, let's hear from our friend who's already been in the chat. Well, Diane's in the chat as well, but let's hear from Mr. Richard Flores.
Well, hello, Clint. Happy Monday, everybody. If anything taught us this weekend about the Giants series, 2 things are clear. One, Kevin Biggio is as useless as an umbrella stand. And how bad do we miss Max Muncy? Mad Max, been gone for 39 days, and it's just sticking out like a sore thumb. Although little brother up north is celebrating his World Series victory at the end of June. And as the champagne is still dripping from their uniforms and their silk carpet in the clubhouse, let's just say that time presses on. And even though it would have been nice to take this series, let's take things in perspective, shall we? We got a long season to go and a lot of guys to come back, and we just flat out had no pitching, and we were not going to ruin anybody's arm, so there's that. And finally, gas pump etiquette, people. When you go to the AM/PM, do us a favor. When you run into the food mart, park your car after you get done pumping gas. There's a lot of us waiting in line as you're getting your cancer sticks, your lotto scratchers, and getting your big gulp. It's just not cool. Not cool at all. F the Dodger Stadium parking lot. F Manny Machado. F the Giants. F the bad play at third base. And finally, F the Ghost Runner.
See ya.
A lot to digest there. How do you guys feel about gas pump etiquette? Sound off in the comments below. I can be one of those guys. Usually I don't go inside. I have everything I need. I have you guys. But if I have to go inside and get some snacky snacks, I'll go park. Maybe I'll go park. Finally, let's listen to Noah Ortega. And by the way, there's more I want to kind of dive into there from what Richard said. We'll get into that to a second because part of what he said has to do with my Monday overreaction, so we'll get to that in a second. But let's wrap up with our friend Noah Ortega, who called in and shared his thoughts on the Friend of the Show hotline.
What's up, guys? It's Noah Ortega, and I gotta say, we have to break up with Lux. The front office and Lux have a toxic relationship. Literally, the front office has done so much for Lux, and they've changed so many things, like moved Mookie to shortstop, and yet Lux hasn't given us anything. That's just rep a toxic relationship. And then on top of that, we gotta break up with Biggio, DFA him, and bring up Andre Lipsius. The best strength of Biggio that he was supposed to bring, but hasn't one bit, is his defense. So break up with him as well. And on top of that, guys, we need a starter, a front one as well. We are running out of starters, and the front office can't rely on Yamamoto and others to come back from injury to be their former selves. Now, have a good night, guys. Bye.
There are your calls in today on the Friend of the Show hotline. You guys could also call in anytime. If you leave a good enough voicemail, I'll find a way to use it as content here on the channel. So you'll get that phone number as part of the Patreon and the YouTube members. Again, it's just $5 a month, and you get some cool stuff. Other people just ask for money and don't give you anything. I'm trying to give you something that'll make it fun for you. I see Elisheva Jones. I admire and respect the love Elisheva has for Luxy, trying to will him into figuring it out, we'll say, putting the pieces together. I still remain kind of out on Lux. I think I need to see more out of him for an extended period of time. I need to see a calmer swing, more line drive approach. He chops down on the ball a little too much for my enjoyment. Respect. We gave respect to Chris Taylor on Dodgers territory earlier. Chris Taylor admitted to himself, hey, you know what? In the offseason, he tried to implement some swing changes. They did not work. You guys saw over the first 3 months of the season, they did not work until they started, they kind of built him back from the ground up, rebuilt some things. You saw in the month of May, he was barely in the lineup. They were in the lab with a pen and a pad working on Chris Taylor. Starts breaking out in the middle of June, hitting 450 since then. Small sample size, but at least that improvement, that change is tied to a swing change, tied to work being put in the cage. With Lux, I think it's still just undoubtedly, there's zero doubt that the front office is working on Gavin Lux. They are working there. They're trying to get the swing right. They're still trying to get the legs in under him. But, just like was it Noah who said it, or it was Noah. Noah who said, they have that toxic relationship with Gavin Lux. I agree. I think they've given him more runway than he's earned at this point. Yeah, you hope for the best. He was supposed to be the guy Scott and I were talking about, the hitting prospect that can play both sides of the ball. Hasn't worked out yet in his career. He's had flashes of not brilliance, but he's had flashes of some quality stuff at times during his career. But right now, he's the odd man out when in the starting lineup, when Muncy gets back, when Mookie Betts gets back. If they make a trade, Lux is the odd man out in the lineup. That's just kind of the reality. But I hope he does find it. Hopefully that 300 that Elisheva, over the last 7 games, Elisheva brings up. Luxy hitting over 300 in his last 7 games. Hopefully that is an actual sign of something changed. A sign of being in the right trajectory, because this is it's not even the halfway part mark of the. We're not at the All-Star break is what I'm trying to get to here. Not as I say, we're already past the halfway point in the season because they've played like 85 games, 84 games. At this point, again, he's my odd man out. I think. Did I miss one? I did not. Okay, no, that was this Richard's super chat. I was getting a little notification about it. What was the other thing I wanted to say? Oh yeah, let's do. Also, Noah brought up the starter. I feel like I'm the only guy who doesn't think this team needs a starter. I'll explore that thought more with Scott tomorrow. So tube in 6 p.m. Pacific time here on All Dodgers. Scott Geirman and I will be doing our monthly Dodgers grade series and just kind of reviewing where we're at and probably talking a lot more about trades. I was going to talk some trade stuff here in this show. Monsta on the blank says they definitely need a starting pitching. I think it is tied to Yamamoto's health. If we don't hear anything positive about Yoshinobu Yamamoto in the next week and a half, right around the home run derby, then I will be worried. Then I will be all in. I don't know if Garrett Crochet is that guy, just because he's not thrown a lot. I guess as of this point, he's at like 100 innings thrown this year, 100 innings pitched, and that is the most he's thrown, like, as a professional. That exceeds the first 4 years of his career, like innings totals. A little rough. It's a little rough. It's not rough. $10 super chat from Diane. Let's go. Thank you so much, Diane. You guys are about to see it on the screen, but it's right here in my side of the chat. She says, we need to keep Miggy Rowe at shortstop when Mookie comes back. I'm so sorry. Lux needs to be packaged up and traded, and Mookie needs to play second base. They have given Lux way too much runway with no paycheck. Thank you very much for summarizing the same thing I was saying there, backing me up on that, Diane. I appreciate you. They've talked about it, the Miguel Rojas shortstop saga or scenario, or the potential of him being the guy. I asked Dodger Blues Matt Moreno, who joined us today on Dodgers territory. I asked him, who do you think is going to be the guy at shortstop by the time the calendar hits October? He says it's going to be Miguel Rojas, and I think at this point the Dodgers they're laying out the foundation for that reality. Dave's already kind of hinted at it, saying we appreciate everything Mookie kind of did, but Miguel Rojas is an 80 grade defender. These are his words. It's like the writing is there. The setup is there. Mookie Betts worked in the offseason to become a second baseman and become the second baseman for this team. I think that's the way it goes. And that means, sorry, Lux, again, you are the odd man out. Hey, Kevin's in the chat. Kevin Skinner, producer Kevin, what's going on, bud? He says, saw that John Morosi teased a Bellinger and Ian Happ. They're saying they could be available at the deadline. Happ would be a top trade target for Kevin, and that's something I'm assuming you and I will discuss more whenever we pop on. Guys, we're probably not going to do a live stream on Thursday on account of the 4th of July, but we'll figure out a time to do some streaming. He missed last week's show because he had a little bit of the throat ouchies, but he's doing better now. He's coming off the IL. I like to compete. I like the stuff. I like the fingers. Bellinger, again, we were talking Bellinger. very out on Belly. Ian Happ, I'm intrigued. We want the Cubs to keep playing like garbage, do bad, and we can use a little help. I think this team does need a lefty bat to help them out. One note, and I'll talk more about this tomorrow, but a little oddity I kind of decided to look up because, I mean, this is a team, again, they went 16-10 this year. The Dodgers are 19 games over 500 right now. They're hitting only .249 against right-handed pitching with a .761 OPS. Yeah, that's not the worst, but the fact that they are 29, sorry, did I say 20? They went 16-10. The Dodgers are 29-25 against righties, though. It's a little concerning to me. Only 4 games under or over 500. Maybe they need a little bit more help. Maybe that is a lefty who can mash against right-handed pitchers. Just a thought. But, guys, let's get to my Monday overreaction real quick. And it ties into something I forget who said it. I think this was also a Noah Ortega, unless it was Diane. But talking about in San Francisco, the team kind of running out of arms. And this is me taking the opportunity to complain about former Mets GM Billy Epler, because he's the guy who fucked the Dodgers. He's the guy who fucked Major League Baseball, because there's no way in hell James Paxton should have been out there for 4 innings and 9 runs where he clearly, very clearly, painfully clearly did not have it in San Francisco on Sunday. They also had to run through a number of arms in that series. The bullpen was dead. It was burnt. Thank you, Noah, saying that was Diane, the running out of arms. Now, if this is a team that, if this was a world where Billy Epler didn't get, thrown on the sword for manipulating the injured list, the Dodgers absolutely would have come up with an injury for Yohan Ramirez, for Ryan Yarbrough, Anthony Banda, guys that just were not available in that series to bring up a fresh arm. But right now, these guys have lasted longer than they ever would have in years past. These guys on the roster, on the active roster, have lasted so much longer than they ever would have, just because in the past you would have saw those. You would have saw those guys. They'd come up with, their elbow bone had a twinge, so we're going to give them a 10-day, 15-day blow, whatever it is. We're bringing up some fresh arms. But they want to hold on to these guys, and they don't want to lose them to a DFA. As we've already mentioned, the 40-man roster, it's in a pretty precarious situation. Clearly, they like Yohan Ramirez. Clearly, Anthony Banda is somebody who has earned a spot in that bullpen. Vesia, we've praised, deservedly so. Blake Trinan kind of going through it a little bit right now, but Trinan has been fine. Of course, Evan Phillips, and those guys are not going anywhere. But you need, usually, you need to kind of make some moves, get a little creative to keep operating the way the Dodgers operate at the highest level, and that's by using that 40-man roster to its, kind of complete, to using it to completion, I guess is what I'll go with. So right now, because of the league kind of looking into Phantom IL designations a little more, I think the team has been a little bit hampered. And that game, Sunday's game, was the one that really stood out to me. So anyways, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there and give a little FU to Billy Epler, because he deserved it. Let's see what else we got here in the chat. Valhalla Sports Talk in the chat. Appreciate you hanging out. I saw there was a good question because I saw somebody else. Hey, say good question to Valhalla. So let's find it. And it says, outside of injury, is there a roadmap for Outman to return to the big club, or is he already traded and we just don't know for who? Outman, I don't think he's trade bait. I think they would probably keep him in AAA as insurance more than trading him. I don't know that there's another team that really wants him in a trade. Like, let's speculate. Let's just have a little fun with some hypotheticals. Let's say they do go out and trade for Luis Robert. They would probably want a center fielder in return. Maybe he's the guy. They might go a different route because this team has kind of more infield options than outfield options. He has played at the big league level, though. He has produced. He plays a pretty dang decent center field. Not Gold Glove caliber. Absolutely not. But I personally don't think he's somebody that gets traded, at least at this deadline. In the offseason, it might change. But because he's young, he's done it with the team, they like him, and he's got team control, I think, considering how long we were talking earlier about them not really producing prospects, not having a lot of outfield depth, I think they keep him around and kind of just keep him stashed there at AAA. So outside of injury, okay, so answering the roadmap part, injury for sure, that might be the only way, unless Pages falls absolutely, he just absolutely craters, he falls off a cliff, goes missing. I don't think they bring Outman back this year to the big league level. At least that's my take right now. Still a lot of baseball left to be played. But appreciate the conversation there. Appreciate the question there. Elisheva bringing up Outman saying very good in center, much better than Pages. That is agreed. I agree on that one for sure. Not Gold Glove caliber though. Not that anybody was accusing him of being Gold Glove caliber. Let's hit that super chat gong because we got another $5 super chat from Diane. Thank you very much, Diane. Says when guys throw their hardest every pitch, it is inevitable that they will eventually suffer and need suffer an injury and need Tommy John surgery. Yeah, this game has definitely changed. It's definitely changed a whole bunch over the last 8 years, 10 years, especially 15 years. I think we were talking about in Discord a little while ago. Noah asking the question, would you rather have somebody like be your top prospect, somebody like Bobby Miller, or somebody like Gavin Stone, who have very different pitching styles? One is a pitch contact sinker guy, and the other one is, I got a big donger, I'm going to blow you away with 100. Who's doing better this season? I'm old school. Give me the Stone guy every time over the 100-mile-an-hour gas dude. Not to say they're not fun. I love me some vintage Walker Buehler games, but different era. If people want to stop getting hurt, tone it back a little bit, just a little bit, especially starters. Whew, my God. Sammy Boy Smith says the Dodgers getting Ryan Brazier back soon too. Oh boy, woo. I wasn't very high on Brazier so far this year, but hopefully he comes back and does something. I don't know where he fits in the bullpen, to be honest. I don't know what moves they make to create roster space. I know at this point they're saying 2-3 weeks away for Joe Kelly. At some point they still hope to have a Brusdar Gratterall signing. Got some names, got some options out there. Let's see what else. Let's just read that one because Showtime LA said Clint Nation, and we appreciate that. Hell yeah. Appreciate you guys hanging out in the chat so far. We're going to talk a little bit about the Diamondback series, and then we'll get the hell out of here. But if you've enjoyed anything so far, guys, hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Again, we're trying to get to 7,000 subs. We're getting really super close. This month, I'm hoping we get there. I think we can get there. I'm not trying to sell out for subs. I'm not trying to go hard in the paint. I'm not trying to do no giveaways. I'm not trying to do no flashy clickbaity titles or images. I'm trying to keep this as honest and concise, and also very free for me to just ramble and have a good time hanging out, talking with you guys. Trying to keep this fair baseball talk here, and not sell out to the YouTube algorithms to get numbers and all that kind of stuff. So, thank you. Me says Shohei homers tomorrow. I'm in. I think we need a Dodger Stadium homer. I'm going to book it, and I'm going to say me said it. But anyways, Dodgers playing the Diamondbacks here in Los Angeles. The Dodgers open, a 6-game homestand. And I'm not too worried about the Diamondbacks, but you look ahead to the weekend, the Milwaukee Brewers come to town. That's going to be a series. We'll talk about that more probably on Friday. But storylines for this series against the Arizona Diamondbacks, who I believe they're in third place, fourth place. Where are they at right now? They are in third place in the National League West, 2 games under 500, 10.5 games back of the Dodgers. For the Dodgers, just get back on track. That's all they got to do. You got your teeth kicked in a little bit. You got sucker punched. You got a bruise. You got the ice pack on your cheek as you're coming back from San Francisco. Not a very good series. I don't know if it was Oracle Park. I don't like the numbers didn't tell me. Like my brain wanted to say that the Dodgers struggled during the day just because they did play 2 day games, but they're 14-10 so far this year in day games. I don't know if that's anything. Diane says we're only 120 subscribers away from 7,000. Let's go, guys. Who wants to be the 7,000th? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, just get back on track. That's all you got to do in this series. Get away from that kind of embarrassment. So far, Dodgers not played great against Arizona, 3-3. I forgot the exact makeup of how they went 3-3. I just know they've won 3 games, they've lost 3 games, and with how the Diamondbacks have played this year, you got to win more than 3 games. My prediction comes in game 1, I will say, of a storyline. Bobby Miller gets the ball tomorrow against Ryan Nelson. My prediction, my kind of bold statement is that Bobby Miller, big game Bob, will bounce back tomorrow. Has not been pretty since he's come off the IL. Did not mind the start in Colorado, but also I said entering that series that it was setting him up for failure just because starting in Colorado, I hate Colorado. His stuff isn't going to play the same. He's not going to have his breaking balls. Use a lot of fastball, and I think it carried over. I do think it carried over into his most recent start there. So he comes back home to Dodger Stadium where, shockingly, this is only his second start at Dodger Stadium this year. First start was his debut, his season debut of 2024, where he shoved 6 innings, 2 runs, 11 Ks, 1 walk. I think we get that big game Bob back tomorrow, Tuesday night, Dodger Stadium, Japanese Heritage Night. They got some sort of weird Mexican-Japanese fusion French fries that Matt Moreno wants to try or not try, whatever it is. Dodgers territory for that reference. So anyways, I'm putting that out. I don't know if I'm going to make that a hot take, a not so hot take, a prediction, but anyways, I think that's something we see. If not, then I start to get worried about Bobby Miller. So hopefully we don't need to be worried about Bob. Gavin Stone goes against Jordan Montgomery, the big flop of the offseason for those Diamondbacks. So there's your game 2 on Wednesday. And then for 4th of July, we got Landon Knack going against Zach Attack Gallen. So it's Knack and Zach. Kick you in the sack. And hopefully people enjoy that. Enjoy blowing some things up. Enjoy some wieners and some beers. Your girl, your truck, your dog, your double wide. Sounds like a damn country song. That said, let's say they win 2 games. That's what I'm going with. Dodgers win 2 of 3. They take 2 of 3. I think Montgomery shoves. I think we get a pitcher's duel on Wednesday, but the Dodgers end up losing that game. If you guys have any predictions, sound off in the comments below. I'd appreciate you, and then we'll get out of here. We're rocking. Long show today. We're at about an hour 15 so far. Hell yeah. Let's do the thing. People are tubing out because it's towards the end of the show. Kenny Chung likes that I said wiener, and I appreciate the use of the emoji, the OGFRG emoji in there. Of course, Kenny Chung is one of our, the people that was gifted unless you paid for it, I don't know, but anyways, part of the YouTube members. So you get the little emoji, which is funny. FYI, Ling, I don't know what your name is, but somebody, I appreciate you hanging out in the chat. Somebody says no one is counting on Kershaw. I'm counting on Kershaw, to be honest. I kind of think he'll figure it out. Well, not figure it out. I think he'll come back, and if he was able to pitch as well as he did on a torn apart shoulder, I think he's going to be okay. Kevin Uhas, not being as optimistic as me and Craig Osterberg says 2-1 Dodgers, but Kevin Yuha said that the Dodgers get swept by the Snakes. Whew. Don't know about that. Don't know if I like that energy, but I appreciate the concept. If they do it, they get swept. The Dodgers get swept. We know who to look at. We know whose fault it was. Showtime LA wants Randy Arozarena and Jack Flaherty in LA. Traded to LA. Hey, you guys remember last year, Blue Heaven, I was all in on the Flaherty train. Doug didn't want to give me no love when it came to Jack Flaherty. I wish I would have signed him in the offseason too, but we'll see. Again, I still don't know. We'll talk more about it tomorrow, more about it this week. I don't know how much I feel at the moment. I'll give it some real deep thought and introspection. I don't know how much at the moment I think this team needs starting pitching, just because it's all going to hinge on Yamamoto. It really is. So, let's see what else. Oh yeah, Kevin Newhouse talking about the Giants. Giant series didn't have Muncy, the Giant Slayer, in there. They did not. That sucked not having there. Kenny also saying that can't sleep on any team. Underestimating your opponent is a failure on your part. When in Rome, but then it makes for fun and excitement on the internet and these type of situations or whatever. I think Stephen A. Smith gets clicks because he goes wildly in one direction and wildly in the other. And I think that's 2 episodes in a row where I brought up Stephen A. Smith, so I'm not going to do that. What else we got? Yeah, I saw my guy D-Mac had old friend of the show Bob Nightingale on there. You guys want me to call Bob right now? I'd call him. They probably won't answer because, I don't know if he'll remember me. But don't buy in too much to Bob Nightingale, guys. Don't buy in too much. But good get for Douglas. Might have a special guest coming up on Dodger territory. Just throw that out there for talking guests. Anyways, all right, at this point, we're just hanging. We're rambling. And it's probably about time to get the hell out of here. Mr. Seabad says, Dodgers are going to sweep the Snakes. Like that. They're going to make nice boots out of them, too. And yes, I drink. We're going to hit the button on that, and we're going to say we're going to get the hell out of here, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the great comments, the questions, hanging out with us while Scott and I were kind of just talking and riffing and hanging and doing what we do best. Just talking Dodger baseball. At least we feel like we do that pretty dang good. Roy Estrada asking who is pitching tomorrow. I already told you, man. Told you it's Bobby Miller against Ryan Nelson of the Snakes, and I think Bobby Miller gets back on track tomorrow. But anyways, thank you guys again for hanging out. Thank you for the super chats so damn much. You guys are awesome for giving your hard-earned money to help support the channel. That's pretty damn cool. I got to thank the channel members, YouTube members. Got to thank our Patreon members for helping support the channel, being a part of the conversation in the friend of the show hotline, on the Discord. You guys are awesome. You guys rock. Jenny Vega's also part of the Discord because Jenny rocks. Noah's in the chat. He rocks. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you guys. And again, if you're looking for a different way to support, check it out. Patreon.com/RealFRG or click the join button. $5 a month. You get some options, and you get to say that I think it's a write-off. I'm going to say it's a write-off. Maybe not. I don't know how it works. But, join fellow diehard fans on Discord as we talk every single day for less than the price of a Michelada at a game these days. Shout out to our moderators for doing a kick-ass job in the chat, as you guys do. Y'all rock. Give them some love. All Dodgers is presented by Bet Online. Use that promo code BELIEVE for a 50% welcome bonus up to $250 on your first deposit. We will be back tomorrow live 6 p.m. Pacific time with more me and Scott Geirman talking about these Dodgers, talking about the month of June for these Dodgers. I'm Real FRG on all the things. Find me there, subscribe, follow me if you want, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, that's about it. Thanks for all the time. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye.